Let's move on and welcome our next speaker from SAP, Simona. She is going to speak about data protection and privacy in artificial intelligence. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody. So after so many nice topic full of technology and so on, I'm coming with a bit of boring part, boring but very expensive, you'll see soon. I put a bit of red so I bring more color to the topic, right? So you don't see it black and white only. Do we have a presentation? So, okay, I can speak also without presentation. First of all, about me. My name is Simona Marincei. I'm the head of the program management for SAP Leonardo Artificial Intelligence in the development department. So we develop in SAP the SAP Leonardo ML products. We have SAP Leonardo Machine Learning Foundation. We have SAP Conversational AI for the chatbots, you know. And intelligent robotic process automation. These are the platforms. And in top of this, we develop all the business services, the applications that they are used either to be sold to the other customers that they want to take them and integrate with their application, or with our own application. We have the Intelligent Enterprise program, and by 2025, the board really committed to make the entire SAP application intelligence, to infuse artificial intelligence, machine learning, and predictive analytics in all our products. Okay, let me see first how this is going. That is what just I told you. By the way, you have here, I hope that the slides will be shared. You have my LinkedIn profile. If any of you after that want to continue the discussion, because I will have a challenge for you, you can find me on LinkedIn. So, as I told you, the agenda, but I will start with the challenge first because I only have half hour and I'm very passionate about this topic. The challenge will be, at the end, I have a small description of our products, only in a couple of words, and I will challenge you to pick one or two of this particular business scenario and to tell me either during the evening event that we have here and socialization or via LinkedIn to tell me what do you believe that will be the challenges on that side. And not only for our SAP, but also from whatever other product you have seen here. I have seen a lot of very good presentation where I would like to challenge the data privacy and protection in them. Okay, so the first part, I will go a bit with you through the EU GDPR. I can speak more about that. I mean, of course, it's not more important or less important than the US data protection or any other regional. But yeah, we are in Germany. I'm also in Germany, so I know more and I can give you more detail on that one. I will tell you what was changing in the current GDPR. The new regulation started from May 2018, so last year. Already 1.5 years. I will show you what will happen when you fail doing the data protection, which I can answer with one word, money, a lot of money that you lose. And then I will really want to go deep a bit in the main issue. I underline main issues. They are not all the issues that we have, but a couple of main issues that we face in artificial intelligence and ML with the data. And at the end, I will give you a very beautiful case from University of Zurich, Institute of Law, to find out what those guys did. Really, really incredible. And all the slides have linked to the sources, and if that will be shared with you, I will really be glad because you can deep dive and learn more about that. Good. GDPR, what is that? Privacy law, it's applicable to all the EU residents. So no matter what type of company you are, especially if you are a cloud one and if you have users that are staying here in European Union, that will be applicable. It's related to all the personal data, and I will explain in the next slide what exactly personal data means. Because here, at least with my young team of developers, which are really doing a wonderful work in machine learning, I have a problem all the time to clarify for them what exactly means personal data, because it's not only the name or your passport ID and so on. it's a bit more and far more complex, and it's especially important for the artificial intelligence. Of course, there are penalties, huge penalties if you fail this. There are 4% of the global revenue or and 20 million euro. And believe me, I have a slide a bit later, I will show to you, they really started to enforce it. So in 2018, they allowed a bit of, it was very calm, nothing happened. People were thinking, well, something happened here. They were just giving a bit of time. You'll see what kind of fine they give to the company. Then it's really global. Good. What is changing? I mean, data protection is not something new. It didn't start last year. However, something changed that have a huge impact, especially on the corporate, on the enterprise world, right? The problem is there, the way how the data, personal data are defined, I told you, is far more than the structured data that we have. And it's also who and how can process it, and especially the consent. So you need to demonstrate also compliance. So you have audits at the end, and if they are finding, I mean, it's not enough to say, I am compliant. You need really to prove it, and you need to have the track of proof for the last 10 years for that. I mean, we have here a lot of young people, and I have seen also for startup or from smaller companies. You know, people are thinking, come on, a team of 10 students developing a product, who will sue them? What to take from them? Well, the problem is nobody will sue them, but if you are between the lucky 20% of the startup that you are successful, your intention probably is to make money with that, right? You don't do it for fun. So you will like to sell it to general, a big corporation. I can tell you, I was in a couple of merger and acquisition discussion, I can tell you that we fail buying a couple of good products because of the way how they develop and the way how they use data to train their algorithm, which was not compliant. So of course, when you acquire a product, you acquire all the problems of that small product. So for all the people that are starting here a startup, and especially in the area of machine learning, please do your homework before you really bring that product to the success, because you might end up in the situation when you have a beautiful, successful product that cannot be sold because it's illegal. I will give you an example later if I have time. Good. That is what I was telling to you, failing to fulfill these requirements. British Airways, this year, they face a fine from the GDPR, that is from European Union, because I have both from US and I also have it from EU. So it's not only a EU problem, that is what I say. I tell you more about the EU part because I have more knowledge. However, it's a global problem and you don't want to discuss with Russia or with China about that, right? Good. So, British Airways face a $230 million fine after a website failure that compromised the data of their customer. Marriott, 100 million pounds, that is like $123 million, yeah, for the GDPR breach that was reported in November last year. Then, that is my favorite, the Facebook. This one, the Federal Trade Commission, that is a very interesting story. So the European Union, they didn't find too much Facebook for the Cambridge Analytica scandal. You have heard that at the news, right? However, the Federal Trade Commission from the US, they fined them with $5 billion. $5 billion. I mean, either for Facebook, that is something, and that is sending a very powerful message. And the reason for this is actually the user consent. So the only thing that Facebook was doing bad there is, yeah, they had the consent of the user for that data. However, accordingly to the regulation, you need to say very exact, in a very clear definition, how do you process those data? What do you do with them? And the problem with the Facebook is they didn't say that this will be for political profiling, which that is what happening in the case of the Cambridge Analytica. Good. Another thing that is also either more powerful is the Google. So after getting a fine of 170 million for illegally harvesting children data. You know that Google, and actually it's not Google, it's YouTube, which is owned by Google. YouTube have children channels, right? So they are really children profiles, so children under 13. And they were using the data and the behavior of their children to do profiling. And that was without the accept of the parents. I mean, they use, same like for adults, the same checkbox like the parents, yeah, I agree, blah, blah. However, a child under 13 does not have the legal power to take that decision. So actually, you need to request that accept not from the child, but from the parent. For that one, they were fined 170 million euro. After that, European Union, so it was only a couple of months between them. After that, European Union came and fined Google for 5.1 billion for abusing its large market share in the mobile phone industry. Yeah, so again, it's about the way how you use the data. So the fact that you had, you know, before the laws were coming here, it was, okay, if you have that stupid disclaimer, hey, dear customer, do you agree? Everybody check box and press okay, I'm safe. Well, no, you are not safe. And you really need to differentiate between the general consent that you use, I use your data to provide you back a service, and I use your data to do research or to do profiling or to do to extra commercial benefits out of this. And here it's coming actually the definition, and I want to highlight this before we move forward to the real example, are a bit of glossary. They are taken like from the European Union website. I didn't invent them, I didn't modify them. They are really, the red one are the one that we will discuss where the issues lie. First of all, what means personal data and what means identifiable data? Yeah? That does not mean only your name and your ID or your employee number and so on. No. Every single, a set of collection of data, saying, for example, the lady that is staying very near the border with long hair, with black leather jacket and black pants, yeah? It's quite very easy to identify. I didn't mention any name, right? But she's there, everybody can see her and can identify her, right? So that one is a personal data. I have an example a bit later, and that really happened with us. In, we collect the data from different channels where artificial intelligence and machine learning can help to train the algorithm. And there are all those social media reviews and complaints and tickets. And one particular scenario was the blonde lady with the scar on the face from the Hilton hotel reception that was checking me yesterday at 5 o'clock. I mean, this one, you just need to step, I mean, of course it's not saying who it is, and it's only one record in about 1 million data. However, in the wrong hands, that one can identify the person. It's saying very clear that it's do not need to have the identifier over there. You need only to have the possibility with a reasonable effort to identify the person. Yeah? And now imagine a video, imagine an audio, yeah? Where the person maybe not say the name, but give enough information to identify that person. That is a problem. A second problem, data controller and data processor. Does anybody know the difference? I will tell you. The data controller is the company that is interacting with the user. The data controller is the one that defines the terms and conditions. That is generally happening in a business to customer situation. But in a business to business, there is also a data processor. So if you produce a software, and generally the people here are the one producing software, right? You are not the data controller. You cannot either put the conditions, yeah? You are only the data processor. So you process the data of the user or the customers of your customer in order to provide a service exactly as defined in the consent that the data controller is taking from you. I will have a bit of later to show you a graphical differentiation of that. Consent of the data subject we already discussed, and anonymized data. That is beautiful. I will show you about anonymized data because, yeah, everybody say, okay, data set, anonymize it, and then you are safe. What is the problem? Well, as I told you, anonymize the blonde lady from the reception, if you can. Or anonymize the X-ray, yeah, that you know that policemen, they are identifying the X-ray to, or they are using the X-ray to identify people, right? They don't need a name. Anonymize that. Good. The first issue, I don't know, here is not really very visible. I have a very nice view here. Good. I was explaining here, I told you that I show you graphical explanation, the difference between data subject, that is the user, that is the owner of the data. The data processor, which generally it's a software vendor, and data controller, which is actually the company that is buying that software. Of course, there are situations, for example, Google in its business, again, business to customer, right? Can be both data processor and data controller. But what you need to know is either Google, and that is why they get those billion fines in euro or in dollar, they cannot use their customer, their direct customer, user, to train for commercial purpose the machine learning algorithm, and after that sell them to the business. That is not allowed. Because, I mean, if I come to you and say, can you give me your data so I make money with them? Will you like that? Probably no. And I don't need to request that permission only from you. I need to request from a huge, huge amount of users, right? So, generally, when you use the data for commercial purpose, you need to request permission for this. Now, if you do it for yourself, you may still convince some customer, right? So a lot of them, you put the term and condition, a lot of them, maybe 50% of them, they accept, you still have good enough data. But when, let's say, we had the case here with Telefonica, right? They are like our customer. What's happening that developing software is not their core business. So unless they want to become a software provider and they have a huge software development, so not the IT team that is maintaining and implementing system, but really the pure development department that will develop brand new products for them, to use their data for doing that, if they want to request any help from the specialist, no matter that is custom development and so on, that is really very hard. Why? Because they will need, if they want to do that, they will need to have custom development with the intellectual property rights after that. So let's say if Telefonica come to SAP, Microsoft, Google, I don't know, just name it, a software provider, or either to a small company, they can request them to develop something custom for them like consulting. But that is costing a lot of money. In that case, the intellectual property will be with the customer, right? However, what's happening in the normal way is we want to make a standard software. We want to sell it to the others. And actually, that is the beauty also with the machine learning, right? You train a general algorithm, and after that, everybody else can use them. I mean, Telefonica, okay, they have a huge amount of data, but imagine that there are a lot of medium and small companies. You know that for machine learning, for artificial intelligence, for deep learning, for neural processing, you need data, a lot of data. And small company, they don't have. Neither medium company, they don't have. But they can use this. The problem is, how do you train, what data do you use in a legal framework to be able to train a good enough generic algorithm that will also be usable by people that does not have the data? Good. Structure versus unstructured. That is my pain point since ever. probably you know already since long time the, the very nice iceberg story with 20% at the top and 80% under. Well, 20% are only the structured data that we know, the traditional one. And guess what? Either if we still use machine learning for those one, the biggest scenario, I actually look in everything that other people presented here, right? More or less nothing was using structured data. All the interesting scenario that can be solved by the machine learning and artificial intelligence algorithm, actually they use unstructured data, which are videos, which are text from the social media. They can be, I mean, they will request a lot amount of storage to have there, and you'll have impressive amount of data. Those are actually the unstructured data, right? And here is coming the problem. So let's start with the easy part, structured data. Okay, I will make an algorithm, I will make an artificial intelligence case. I will tell you exactly one in account receivable, account payable, yeah, those are in invoices, they are tables, they are, yeah. So more or less, invoices are not all the time structured data, they come in PDF or in a fax format, but let's assume. And we have a table like this one that we have here. Okay, I remove subscription ID. That is not anonymized data. I mean, encrypting data does not mean you remove and you anonymize the data. As I told you, and there is a study done, the combination of zip code, I mean, if you have address like here, absolutely, right? But you have zip code, and maybe only by the zip code, there are studies that you can find a lot about the person, right? I mean, you know by the zip code is that person is rich or poor or average, right? At least in Europe, rich people live in some places, poor people live in some other places, and average people live in other places. So only by that you can do profiling. Yeah? So the idea is not really very easy, either the structured data to anonymize them as requested by the law, because combination of data can lead to the identification. Of course, there are some solutions we develop in SAP in-house. Other, for example, I found this nice tool, Cryptonumeric. It's a software company that they do a bit like what we do in the house, and I wanted to mention for the one here. It's not advertising, I don't know them. I just like the product. And they are using this K-anonymity system, and they are trying to identify not only the data, like, okay, the ID or the address or the name, but they are trying to identify the combination of such field in the structured data that will tell you, okay, if you have an address or the age and the zip code, you can identify the person. And they propose meaningful way, because that is also another problem of anonymizing or encrypted data. You need those data to train a model. If you scramble those data too much, you will not be able to train your model properly. So you need accurate data. So you need to have techniques in order to anonymize data, in order to fulfill the law, but also to derive enough meaningful learning for your algorithm. Questions? A lot of information, right? Let's watch the time. Good. Now is coming the big problem. I mean, that one was only, you know, to get warm up. Now is coming the interesting part, the unstructured data. And here are, I already give you the example of, you know, the receptionist, the blonde receptionist from the Hilton Hotel. And there are, in general, so not only the X-ray, yeah, so that is used by police, but in general, if you have enough medical information, and think about those data of medical information, there are also regional, you have a huge chance to identify the person. And in all that is why applying, that is a very good field for artificial intelligence, so the medical, the health industry, right? However, and we have very good algorithm. The problem is, and it's also an ethical problem, I will not enter into that ethical problem, but it's very nice to look, is like the train situation, yeah? So you see a train, and you see that on the train track there are some people tied up, right? And you have a switcher here. So here are 5 people, and you have a switcher here, and you can put on the secondary line. However, you see that also on the secondary line it's one person. So now the question, the ethical question that it's also for the machine learning is, what you will do? Do you pull the switch and you kill that one person, but it's your decision and you kill that person, or you let the fate to go there and you let the 5 people that are tied on this track to die? Exactly same type of question, of course, with other implication, is in the health industry. So in all the medical data, they are highly confidential. You can imagine, right? But we have ton of data. If you apply couple of artificial intelligence algorithms, it was already proved that you can identify for the upcoming people that may get sick, and identify cancer or identify Alzheimer or identify any kind of disease far faster and earlier than the other. But you need to investigate those data, but you don't have access to them. So it's exactly this part. How much do you go? Do you break the law, or do you let the people to die? That is exactly that train situation I was telling to you. Now, a big part of the ML algorithm and AI algorithm, they are actually with all these unstructured data. I mean, let's not be so serious with dying people and so on like the health, but there are still all the other text messages, chatbots, video. We had now a very nice demo with the video, right? For example, let's take that particular case, right? It's not really, and believe me, or you can go to a lawyer and ask, or a data expert that know the law. It's not okay to take video from Facebook and use it for training your algorithm. It's okay for research purpose, yes, but if you want to sell that one, it will not be okay. Because again, it's coming to that thing. I use the property of somebody else without requesting permission to make money for me. That is not okay. Yeah, if you do it for fun, if you do it as a project at school, that will be okay. If you do it with a commercial purpose and material benefit, that will not be okay. And that is what happened, that Google and Facebook was fine with that. Because exactly that is what they did. They had the data and they used them. And then they got fined. I mean, now I don't know what the revenue, maybe it's a good case. I mean, maybe they were fined 5 billion and they were actually earning 10, and then it's still a good business case. Who knows? That it's only assumption. But in general, of course, you should not really break the law. Yeah? So, I mean, I do not really have, I wanted that you are aware of this. I don't have a general solution to share with you. There are some solutions, but they are case by case. And that is also one of the reasons why AI industry is not really performing so good. Again, one particular issue with this is, yes, you can still use those data, but for a single customer. So what we did, for example, in SAP, we use, and we have some general train data, which they use highly encrypted data. Well, you can imagine they are not so good. Maybe for some small companies they are good enough, but the feasibility is far off being good. And then what we do retraining for the big customer, that they have a lot of data. The problem that right now is not yet solved is how can we extend after that is algorithm, because again, it's not the data, but that is the law. When you train an algorithm, you do not retain any data. It is not possible based on a trained algorithm to identify the data anymore. That is not possible. However, the law is very clear. In order to reach that result, you use the data. And that is not a law. Either if after that you can have the algorithm without the possibility of identifying any personal information. So that is why, for example, if I train an algorithm special for Telefonica, let's say, I cannot take that one and sell it to any of you. It's not possible. Question about that? if you have the consent, so if you interact directly with the user, yeah, you can request the acceptance from your user. And generally, there are those consents saying, dear customer, in order to improve our services for you, we want to use your data for improvement of our services. Yeah? So that when, of course, you'll generate revenue because you are not there to give service for free unless you are an ONG, right? But if you are a company, you, of course, generate revenue for you, but you had the possibility to request the consent from your own user. The problem is when you are a software developer and you do not interact with that user because it's not your customer. Again, taking the case of Telefonica, if Telefonica will develop for themselves a software, they can use those data because they have the possibility to request the consent. But if Telefonica want to engage SAP, to engage me and say, please develop this for me, they will not be able to give me the data unless I give them the intellectual property. And of course, if I do that only for them, I will charge them a lot. So I cannot make it cheap. Right? Because cheap is coming from reusability. So you make the work one time, and after that you sell it 100 times. And you split the cost per number of customer, and then it's good for everybody. But when you sell it to a single customer, that is why custom development is so expensive. I still have 5 minutes? Good. This one, this is beautiful. This is really beautiful. You should go there and see that. It's a link there. So, what happened is a couple of very bright and intelligent students and PhD and some researchers from the University of Zurich Law Institute, they were going through the tribunal, the court. You know, they have all the cases, which theoretically they are anonymized. Yeah? We speak about anonymization, very nice. Yeah, they remove all the name, you don't know the case. They applied, and that is in red there, yeah? So please read it. So they apply a bit of machine learning algorithm and data mining on Google, yeah? In less than 1 hour, they were able to de-anonymize 84% of the more than 120 cases that they were in the database of the tribunal. Goodbye with the anonymity, right? So theoretic, they were anonymized, and they public the database that is public there. It's only the case, yeah. So it's saying the case A against B, right? It's fully anonymized. But the problem is in the case there are so many data about the companies or about the persons there that with a simple search on Google, helped a bit by the artificial intelligence, they succeeded in 1 hour to de-anonymize everything. Is that really anonymization of the data? I don't want to know. I mean, they are Zurich, so they are Switzerland. They are probably not under the GDPR, right? I'm not sure. I need to ask that. But I don't think that, yeah, the European Union can really find them. But I suppose they will get their own finder because if you have speeded a bit through Switzerland, you know that they have the highest fine that you can get ever. Good. So that is really a very, very interesting case, and it's supporting what I was telling to you. It's not easy to anonymize either data that are structured data. These were in the tables, right? So these data were in the tables. They were structured data. Imagine if, I don't know, there were under 10. If under 10 researchers, they could do that in 1 hour to the 120 cases, how easy it will be with unstructured data. So my point here is take care when you start your own business or when you develop your own product, you understand the things, because either if right now you think you are too small and you don't understand and nobody will fine you or you will not have really legal problem, that is true, you will not have. But if you are successful, you will have. So then the full work will be for nothing. And as I told you at the beginning, I really had that case. We are looking, you know, the big company are acquiring like startups. That is the way how the work is done. And one of the first things we do is like cyber security and data protection. And for one particular startup, we really failed. It was a very good product, really very good product, and we really wanted to have it. The problem was they were really using data from untrustable sources in an illegal way to harvest the information and to train their algorithm. And because of that, I mean, again, if you acquire that product, you acquire the problems. And okay, startup of 10 people, nobody want to sue. But once that SAP or Oracle or Microsoft or Google, it's acquiring that startup, the fine, what I told you, the 4% is not coming 4% from the revenue of that small product. No, it's the 4% of the entire revenue of the company. And it's not the profit, it's the revenue, right? So before you take out the cost. And imagine, so the profitability of a big company, it's somewhere 10% or less. So 4% from those one, you'll need to get it as a fine. That is huge. That is really, really huge. I think that's it. I'm also on the end of the time. Here, as I told you, is the challenge, and I will be really happy to discuss it with you. Here are the products that I told you at the beginning, so the way how we are using them together. And after that, I put quite a lot of slides. I will not go right now to them, with like high level, very high level, something like that. Very high level description of what these products are. And I would really like to launch this challenge to you. Tell me what kind of data protection issues and data privacy issues you have when you develop something like that. Or in your own product. Any question? I hope that I give you something to think about in the night. Thank you.
Many thanks to all of you for sharing this day with us. This year's Munich AI Summit was devoted to the role of women in AI. Looking forward to Munich AI Summit 2020. See you next year.